We're meeting this morning to go through in some detail the bill that we intend to publish. Obviously, we have only to date published a heads of bill. There's been a lot of debate and discussion since then, primarily in the Oireachtas Committee, but also publicly. It's our job to listen to that debate and to look at any appropriate changes that should be considered before publishing a piece of legislation, which of course then will be subject to debate and potential amendment before it gets finalised. But that's what we're doing this morning. It's a serious meeting. That's why we wanted to have a separate cabinet meeting to deal with it. So I'm looking forward to having that discussion now with my colleagues.
What's your reaction, Minister, to what the Catholic bishop said yesterday? They were quite strong in they criticised the government and criticised this legislation.
Yeah, I think like every person in Ireland, they're entitled to have their view. As long as the debate is balanced and based on the actual content of the legislation, then I think we need to have a discussion with everybody who's concerned or people who support this legislation. But I think the important thing is to focus on what's actually in the legislation rather than the perception around it. And I think sometimes the criticism that we're hearing is not based actually in fact in terms of what's actually being proposed. What's being proposed here is actually a tightening up of the status quo in terms of the conditions and restrictions around that very difficult decision that a doctor and a mother may have to make if a mother's life is under threat while pregnant. And so this is about saving lives and not about taking lives. It's about protecting the life of an unborn child as well as protecting the life of a mother. And I hope now that we publish this bill that we will be able to have a discussion, a civilised discussion, on the basis of what's actually being proposed and what's in the bill, as opposed to the perceptions or concerns that may be linked to the issue of the responsibility for the state to protect the life of an unborn child.